Hello guys, my name is Kunal Chakravarti and I'm back with bioconcepts. So the concept that we are going to learn today is transport of gases. So in this section we are going to learn that how oxygen gets dissolved into the blood, then it is transported to the heart, from the heart to the tissues where oxygen is given to the tissues and carbon dioxide get dissolved into the blood. Now this blood is transported to the heart and from the heart back to the lungs where carbon dioxide is expelled out. So we are going to learn that mechanism. So all of you please focus on this diagram. Now what do we see? We see that we have alveoli, that is lungs at the top. Now whenever you are taking in fresh air, always remember that fresh air is rich in oxygen, O2. That fresh air is rich in oxygen, O2. So what happens from the total amount of oxygen that is present in the alveoli? 3% of the oxygen will dissolve into the plasma. 3% of the oxygen will dissolve into plasma. Okay, and 97% of the oxygen will enter RBC. 97% of oxygen will enter RBC. Inside the RBC, oxygen will combine with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. And it will be transported in the form of oxyhemoglobin in RBC. So 97% of oxygen is transported to the tissues in the form of oxyhemoglobin in RBC, and 3% of oxygen is transported to the tissues in plasma. So the 3% will go and enter the tissues, and the 97% that is traveling or that is transported in the form of oxyhemoglobin, it will come near the tissue. The oxyhemoglobin will dissociate to form hemoglobin and oxygen, and this oxygen will be given to the tissues. Okay. Now before coming to the transport of carbon dioxide, I want to tell you, or I want to introduce you to an enzyme. The name of that enzyme is carbonic anhydrase, which is present in RBC. Carbonic anhydrase is present in RBC. Now what does carbonic anhydrase do? Carbonic anhydrase helps in combining water and carbon dioxide to form H2CO3, and then it dissociates H2CO3 into H plus and bicarbonate ions. So this is the work of carbonic anhydrase. Now remember, this thing is happening inside the RBC. Okay, so now coming to the tissues. Now while doing this process, the tissue was performing respiration and it was giving out carbon dioxide as byproduct. So now the tissue is rich in carbon dioxide, CO2. Tissue is rich in carbon dioxide, that is CO2. Now 7% of carbon dioxide will directly dissolve in plasma. Okay, it will directly dissolve in plasma. 7%. 70% of CO2 will undergo this reaction and will form bicarbonate ion in RBC. So 70% of CO2 will enter RBC. It will combine with water to form H2CO3, and then it will dissociate to form H plus and HCO3 minus, and this HCO3 minus will come out of the RBC and will get dissolved in plasma. And the rest 20 to 25% CO2 will combine with hemoglobin and form carbaminohemoglobin and will be transported in the form of carbaminohemoglobin. So this is the rest 20 to 25%. So what do we see? We see transport of oxygen in dissolved form in plasma is 3%. As oxyhemoglobin in RBC is 97%. Coming to carbon dioxide, directly in dissolved form in plasma, 7%. As carbaminohemoglobin is 20 to 25%. And as bicarbonate ion in plasma is 70%. Now, these are going to travel and reach up to the lungs. Now, before it enters into the lungs, what is going to happen? See, the 7% that is directly dissolved in plasma, that will reach the alveoli directly, no issues. Now, the problem comes with the bicarbonate ion and the carbaminoform. Now, when I am talking about the carbaminoform, let's talk about the carbaminoform, carbaminohemoglobin. Now, HbCO2 will dissociate to form Hb plus CO2 and the CO2 will be released. Now coming to the next case, that is bicarbonate ion which was traveling in plasma, which was transported in plasma, that will enter into the RBC again. HCO3 minus will enter into the RBC again. By the action of carbonic anhydrase, it will combine with hydrogen ion to form H2CO3, and again by the action of carbonic anhydrase it will form H2O and CO2, and this CO2 will be released into the alveoli. So this is how the gases are transported. So this was all about today's concept. If you like the video, then please keep watching. Okay, till then, keep reading, keep studying. Thank you.